Hey guys, it's History Behind the Warrior and welcome to another Mortal Kombat 11 video. Now with the Mortal Kombat 11 community reveal event only a few weeks away, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk about all of the characters within the Mortal Kombat universe, at least in the rebooted timeline, who are currently dead within the series, as this for the most part will give us an idea of who can make the roster and also inform you about some characters that may have been killed off outside of the games. Plus it could serve as a recap for many. Now I do want to remind you though, that death has never really been a permanent thing in the Mortal Kombat universe, and with the inclusion of a time-bending story arc being an important aspect of the game, this could mean that any of the characters that I feature here could return back. And I also want to let you know in this list as well, but I will also be featuring Revenant characters on this list, as they are still kind of dead, but at this point are husks of their former selves. Now there have been a lot of characters that have died in the Mortal Kombat universe, but for this video I'll only be including characters here that have made the roster of previous games, as they are more well known by the community. No one really cares about extra 375 that just gets killed off screen. So anyway, on that note, let's actually start talking about the characters. And let's talk about the most obvious character to make this list, as he's extremely iconic to the series, Scorpion. Now Scorpion's death has always been a very important part of his character, as it does tie in the story arcs of Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Now in this new rebooted timeline, although it's never clearly said, it's implied that Scorpion and Sub-Zero cross paths in a very similar way to that of Mortal Kombat mythologies. Either way, Scorpion does die during their first fight, leading to the Shira Ryu member being resurrected by Quan Chi and being put under his control as a Revenant. Now during the events of MK9 and MKX, he's in fact cured of his corrupted Revenant form, but despite this he actually dies once again, which may be something that fans of the character might not know. During the MKX comic book series, Scorpion, whilst trying to protect Akida, is forced to fight a blood god powered version of Havoc. The Chaos Cleric is trying to force him to become Scorpion again. As you see, Hanzo at this time was suffering from a lot of internal conflict with his Scorpion persona, and Havoc wanted him to give in, but instead of succumbing to the Hellspawn, Hanzo allowed himself to die, preventing Havoc from acquiring the Hellspawn. His spirit lied within Limbo, so he was able to come back from the dead and claim revenge against Havoc. So although he isn't dead now, it's at least worth mentioning what has been happening with him. And since we've just talked about Hanzo, let's talk about Bihaan slash Noob Saibot. During the climax of the MK1 section of MK9, the first Sub-Zero would be killed by Scorpion. Now of course this wouldn't be the end of him, as he would appear during the later half of MK9, as he, much like Hanzo, was resurrected by Quan Chi. And during the end of MK9, Bihaan clashes with the cybernetic version of his younger brother and then faces off against Nightwolf. During this fight he's seemingly kicked into a Soulnado and is presumed dead. As you see, Soulnados do have the reputation of physically and spiritually ripping apart anyone it claims, so Noob may have been killed by this. Now our next character is Motaro. You see, during the beginning of the MK3 section of the game, Motaro is one of many of Shao Kahn's allies that is leading death squads across Earthrealm, killing and injuring as many people as possible. Eventually he comes face to face with Johnny Cage and is able to overpower him. Now unlike the original timeline where Johnny Cage is killed in this battle, Raiden is able to interfere and strikes down the centaur, killing him. So Motaro only has a very brief and small appearance in this timeline. Now onto our next character, Shang Tsung, and this actually lines up with Motaro's death. After the centaur is killed and brought before Shao Kahn, the Emperor realizes how high the stakes are, so he decides to take Shang Tsung's life force and infuse it with Sindel's. By doing so, he's able to create a very powerful being and formidable fighter. And ever since Shang Tsung's soul was fused with Sindel, he hasn't been heard from since. But due to MKX ladder endings, there have been a lot of foreshadowing of his return, so we may see him return in Mortal Kombat 11. Kabal. Kabal was the first victim of Sindel's rampage after she was infused with Shang Tsung's energy. However, despite having his chest crushed, he does appear one chapter later, but this time he is in a Revenant form, as his soul is now enslaved to that of Quan Chi. So during the end of MK9 and the entirety of MKX, he is now a Revenant of Quan Chi. Now not long after Kabal died, Stryker would soon follow, as after seeing Kabal being killed by Sindel, he would rush in to intervene. However, as expected, he was unsuccessful and was killed. So much like Kabal, he does return one chapter later as a Revenant and remains as one during Mortal Kombat X. But now we're onto one that is quite interesting, Sub-Zero. Now yes, he was another victim of Sindel's rampage, and as expected he became a Revenant of Quan Chi. However, here are where things things get quite interesting. During his service under the Necromancer, we learn that Quan Chi despised his cybernetic enhancements, and in fact stripped him of his cybernetic augmentations. From here, he would have him grow a completely new body, but retain all of his human ability. So just to clear things up, that's why he has a human form in MKX, despite dying as a cyborg in MK9. Now during the events of MK9 to MKX, with the assistance of Raiden, he is freed of Quan Chi's control, so he's once again able to regain his humanity. Now our next character is Jax. Yep, pretty much another victim of Sindel's rampage. He was killed and brought back as a Revenant by Quan Chi. Now fortunately for him, he was freed of the Necromancer's influence. However, during this time, he would leave the Special Forces and build a farm to have a somewhat normal life. But obviously he couldn't stay out of the fray, as Jackie herself got involved with the Special Forces. Smoke. Yet another casualty of Sindel's onslaught, Smoke turns up one chapter later being another Revenant of Quan Chi. He appears once again in Mortal Kombat X, but what's quite shocking here is that apparently the Smoke demon that lies within him now has full control of Smoke's body, as he says the following when he comes face to face with Johnny Cage.
Smoke is dead. I am an Ninra.
Meaning that Smoke as a character may in fact be dead, and the Revenant husk that is left is being possessed by a demon. Only time will tell if Smoke ever returns. Jade. Despite being a fellow Edenian, Sindel showed no hesitation in killing one of her own. Now again, as expected, Jade is killed and promptly brought back from the dead as a Revenant. However, this is where stuff gets rather mysterious. For reasons that are currently unknown right now, Jade has mysteriously disappeared from Quan Chi's service. We don't know what happened to her during the events of MK9 and MKX, but she's never mentioned once by name or alluded to in the main story. So because of her mysterious disappearance, many do expect her to return in Mortal Kombat 11, but her whereabouts and existence right now are currently unknown, and may be tied to the mysterious woman that featured in her MK9 ending. We can only wait and see. Sindel and Nightwolf. After Sindel claimed many of Earthrealm's warriors, the Shaman was the only spiritual fighter that could hold his own against the Edenian Queen. Despite his best efforts, she was able to overpower him. Knowing that he couldn't allow someone this powerful to live, he would sacrifice his own life to take hers. And the two are later seen in MK9 and MKX, both under the service of Quan Chi. Now not too long after this, Kitana would be the final victim that Sindel took during her onslaught. The Edenian princess was severely injured from the battle and prominently died in Liu Kang's arms. Again, during MK9 and MKX, we do see that she's a Revenant of Quan Chi and is still enslaved to his rule. However, after the Necromancer's demise and the fall of Shinnok, herself and Liu Kang become the new rulers of the Netherrealm. So although in a sense they are dead, they still seem to be playing rather large roles in the universe. Liu Kang. After a long and tense relationship with Raiden, the two come to blows after Kitana dies. The Shaolin monk even goes as far as attempting to kill his mentor, but this backfires, and Liu Kang accidentally kills himself with a mixture of his fire energy and Raiden's protective lightning. Now he does return in MKX as a Revenant of Quan Chi as well, but much like I mentioned with Kitana, he becomes the Emperor of the Netherrealm alongside Kitana. Kung Lao. Totally not leaving him out here because I forgot about him, but Kung Lao did perish during the MK2 section of MK9, where after he defeats the tag team of Quan Chi and Shang Tsung, along with Kintaro, he begins to boast about his strength to the crowd. Now with his back turned to Shao Kahn, the Emperor would sneak up behind him and quickly snap his neck, killing the Shaolin, to where he does appear a few chapters later as a Revenant and resurfaces still being a Revenant in Mortal Kombat X. Shao Kahn. During the climax of MK9, Shao Kahn attempts to merge Earthrealm with Outworld but is stopped by the Elder Gods. They then fuel Raiden with their godly energy and he's able to put a stop to the Emperor's tyrannical destruction. In MK9 it says that he's been taken to the Elder Gods for punishment, but during the beginning of MKX, Johnny Cage says that Shao Kahn is now dead. And I am aware that in MK11 he is a pre-order bonus, but pre-order bonuses tend to not be canon with the main story of the game, so he is just part of a marketing tactic for the most part. But I'm saying that MK11 has time travel, so we could see him return into the main canon. But for now, in the current timeline, he is deemed as dead. Our next character is Su Hao. This poor man's attempt at Kano died in the very first chapter of the Mortal Kombat X comic book series, where he's attempting to track down Quan Chi, who'd infiltrate the Red Dragons, but he treads on Shira Ryu territory and is very quickly taken care of by Scorpio, as he has a hole put through his face. Movado had a very brief appearance in the Mortal Kombat X comic book series, where a deal between Eren Black and the Black Dragons turned south as they were attacked by the Red Dragon. During this conflict, Movado attempts to capture Cassie and Jackie for himself, but is overpowered. This results in him being gutted by his own hook blades. Reiko, a prominent figure in the comic book series, the Outworld General would ultimately meet his demise at the hands of someone he considered to be his friend, Havoc. You see, the Chaos Cleric had manipulated Reiko into using Kami Dogu daggers to become a blood god. However, in truth, he was just becoming a vessel for Shinnok's amulet, so right after obtaining god status, he would quickly start falling apart, and Havoc would then crush his skull in order to obtain the amulet. So Reiko does make an appearance in the new timeline, it's just unfortunately outside of the main series of games. Kintaro. During the climactic battle of the MKX comic book series, Kintaro along with Shiva and Koto's forces attempt to foil Havoc's plans. Unfortunately for Kintaro, during this conflict, he's overpowered by Havoc's blood god allies. So when the Shogun comes face to face with Sonya, he is overwhelmed and his head is torn off, resulting in his death. Havoc. Despite having the amulet of Shinnok, the Chaos Cleric didn't expect the return of Hanzo Hisashi, as he had returned back from Limbo in order to seek revenge. During the final battle, he was able to blindside him and tear off his head. Havoc would then be brought to the Netherrealm, where his head was thrown at the feet of Quan Chi. As you see, Havoc had been given the mission by Quan Chi of obtaining Shinnok's amulet and bringing it back to him. But of course, Havoc had plans of his own, and his plan was foiled by Hanzo. So because of his betrayal, Quan Chi would stomp on his skull, crushing him, Dramin and Moloch. After being disappointed by Havoc, Quan Chi unfortunately decided to take out his frustrations on the two Oni. With Kitana being ordered to sever the head of Moloch, Quan Chi would kill Dramin by stripping the flesh from his bones. So the pair have an extremely brief existence in this timeline. Sector. After the events of MK9, Sector became the new Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei, and from MK9 to MKX was in the process of capturing and cyberizing many of the clan members that had run away. After capturing a newly revived Sub-Zero, he would attempt to cyberize him once again. However, he was able to free Cyrax of Sector's control, and the two fought back against him. Now, during this fight, Sub-Zero was able to break away from his shackles and remove the head of the Crimson Cyborg, seemingly killing him. Cyrax. After the death of Sector, Cyrax would in fact become the new Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei. However, this wasn't a position he was ready to acquire, and with the current state of the Lin Kuei, he wasn't happy with this new cyberized direction that they were going in. So in order to give the Lin Kuei a fresh start, Cyrax would initiate a self-destruct sequence that would lead to his demise as well as the other cyborgs within the clan. By doing so, he would allow the Lin Kuei to return back to its roots, with Sub-Zero being the Grand Master. Baraka. During the Outworld Civil War and battle between Melina and Kotal, the two sides would clash on multiple different occasions, and in this one instance, the Tarkatan General came face to face with the Chitin Devourer. During their battle, he was overpowered and was killed by her. Now, I know many might say that this is a quick time event and is in a way optional, but Baraka never returns after these events have transpired, even when Melina still has a Tarkatan army under her rule. So I believe it's rather safe to say here that this is his official death within the canon. However, please do take into mind that there are multiple different Tarkatans in the series. Melina. During the later half of Mortal Kombat X, Melina is defeated and captured by Devourer. She is brought before Kotal Kahn and is also executed by the Chitin. Now, although Melina may be dead, please do take into mind that Melina has a series of clones much like her, and they all currently reside within Shang Tsung's flesh pits. So although she may be somewhat dead, her demise may not be a permanent one. Quan Chi. After Quan Chi is captured by Jax, the years of torment he put many through finally caught up to him, as Hanzo Hisashi had caught word of him being captured by the Special Forces and decided to infiltrate their facility, overpower the Special Forces, and kill his former master by decapitating him. Now, despite getting his revenge, he was unable to prevent him from releasing Shinnok. And whilst we're on the topic of Shinnok, Shinnok is another character that is somewhat killed off, but it's in a very interesting manner. During the end of Mortal Kombat X, after the corrupted and superpowered Shinnok is defeated by Cassie, Raiden is forced to absorb the dark energy that Shinnok had tainted the Jinsei with. This in turn saves Earthrealm, but also corrupts Raiden's life force. From here, he takes a very strong stance on his new bullshit attitude and actually severs the head of Shinnok. However, instead of leaving him as a dead head, he incapacitates the god and leaves him in a harmless vegetative state. Now, although Shinnok may not exactly be dead. This is considered by Raiden as a fate that's worse than death. So take what you will from what happened to Shinnok here, but he's most certainly out of action. But yes, that is actually it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and learned more by doing so, and it's been a rather helpful recap for all of you, as there's quite a few character deaths that don't happen in the main installments within the games. So hopefully this has brought you all up to date with what's been going on in the universe, as well as the possibility of certain characters making the roster. Now please don't forget that Mortal Kombat 11 will apparently be having a time travel aspect to it, so anyone that I have mentioned here can most certainly come back. Hell, a majority of characters I did mention at the first half of this video turn up a chapter later. So again, death isn't exactly a consistent thing within the Mortal Kombat universe, so anyone can really be brought back. But yeah, that's kind of it for this video, guys. I apologize for not uploading a video for quite some time. I wanted to enjoy the Christmas period and just relax, and now that it's over and the new year has begun, I'll be going back to my normal uploading schedule. So you guys can most certainly expect a plethora of new content on this channel. Plus, I am also going to the launch event that's coming up in a few weeks time, so if allowed, I will try to record some exclusive gameplay and content for the channel, so please do keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Now if possible, before it wraps up, let's try getting it to about 500 likes. It's a great way of supporting this channel since YouTube's ad system is broken as hell, so by giving it a thumbs up, it helps out a ton. And also, let's do it for the Mortal Kombat 11 hype, as we're only a few months away from it now. Now as always, guys, please comment, like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. Please take care, and I'll see you all next time.